Hello, you've reached the Storied Human podcast, hosted by me, Lynn Thompson. Each week, I share a story, either an interview with someone fascinating or a short solo from me. I love your stories, and I learn so much from them. Hopefully you will too. So welcome. If you are new here, I'm so happy to have you. If you are a returning listener, many thanks. So here it is, the next episode of the Storied Human. Hello. My guest this week is Bill Copple, an amazing man from California who has survived several brain injuries in his life, was in a coma, had to learn to walk again, and against all odds is living independently now at almost 50 years old, taking daily walks and generally staying active. He has swum with sharks while scuba diving, has participated in 100-mile MS walks, has been a personal trainer, and more. While his brain injuries can make his words harder to understand for some, I urge you to try to listen to his inspiring story, or you can read his full story in the accompanying transcript of this episode. I can't tell you how much he makes me want to walk and be active. That his main message is that working out can save your life, because his accident happened when he was only 19 and he was in really good shape, and that really helped his recovery. And he's continued working out and staying active even when it's hard. So I give you the inspiring Bill Copple.
Okay. The way my story starts is 4 days before I turned 19, I was out riding with a group of friends of mine. We were motorcycle enthusiasts, and we got together weekly or bi-weekly or monthly or whatever, just to say hi and do things. And we would go on various rides to different places and do different things. We chose this weekend to go on I'm not from California, you are with SoCal or whatnot. We on Angeles Crest Highway, which is a very windy back and forth mountain road. Mm-hmm. They figured that I took the curve too quickly, which is a possibility, sure. But I ended up, they have on the mountain roads, they have little cutouts, whatever, where people can stop and take pictures and do things like that. Well, evidently, I got into one of those, went down on my side, and I slid over the mountain.
My God.
The paramedic, second helicopter that had to come out to get me. The first one, because they didn't expect me to be alive, or because they weren't properly set up, or they were just running out of fuel. They didn't expect to have to take somebody alive from the mountain to a hospital. The first chopper couldn't go, so I had to wait for a second chopper. And the paramedic from the second chopper came and saw me in one of my last hospital stays, and he told me that from where they picked me up to the road up above was somewhere between 1,000 to 1,200 feet.
Oh my God.
So I fell a bit. And from that incident, I was in a coma for 3 months.
Oh my God.
I was in the hospital for about 6 months, or actually, no, I was in that third hospital for I was in the hospital for about 6 months. I was, because of therapy and whatnot, because I wanted to, I started walking again about 1 year later.
Wow.
I started walking again, and then was within about a year later, almost, that I started at a college program in Southern California. Here we got one of our college programs that we're starting and trying to make nationwide or whatever is a head injury resort or head injury training program, so that you learn how to live life and do various things.
Nice.
I got enrolled in that, like I said, within 2 years. And that's a 2-year program that I went through, and I successfully graduated from that. No real big issues exactly. When I started that, I was still using in my wheelchair. By the time I was done, I was using a walker.
Wow.
And then within a year or two after that, I was using canes and crutches at some point. I don't remember for how long. It's been actually, this October will be 30 years since that accident happened. And so that was a severe enough accident. I don't know how I survived or anything, but I did.
I don't know how
I went to high school.
I don't know how you survived. You were only 19, and it's terrifying to think you went over a mountainside. What were your injuries like? Did you have brain damage? Did you have broken bones?
The only bones that I broke, which don't ask me why, but the only bones that I broke a bone in my nose.
My goodness.
And there was concern about disc herniation in my neck, which was never diagnosed specifically at that moment with disc herniation, but there was concern that way. And then there was concern about I'm drawing a blank now, but a broken back. No, I didn't break my back, but there was concern about other broken bones. Like I said, I know they said I broke the bone in my nose. So I know that broke bone.
Unbelievable. Now, do you remember going over the mountain?
I don't. Unfortunately, it was really, really, really upsetting. The motorcycle that I crashed on was essentially my dream bike. It was a motorcycle that I always wanted. Okay. I had it for about 2 months before my accident.
Oh my gosh.
I remember specific things on that motorcycle that I did. But in my memory, it's of another motorcycle that I had before that. So I don't even remember my dream bike, which is very, very upsetting. Especially I remember things that happened to me on that bike, but I don't remember that.
You don't remember. I do know that that's usually what happens. People they can't remember. I mean, it's probably good that you don't remember. So now you've done an amazing thing. And I think it might have been easier to heal being so young, right? But you worked at it and you started to walk and you graduated to a cane. And then how long did you have before something else happened? Because I feel like you're going to tell me about something else.
Fortunately, physically speaking, I was pretty lucky. I broke my ankle 5-6 years later or something, I think. But that was just life happens, kind of thing. So for the most part, I was living functioning. I got a job. I got my license back, so I was riding it again. And at first I was riding cars. It's about 10 years later. I'm not from exact dates on some of these things, but about 10 years later, I actually started riding a bicycle again.
Oh, you got back on the bike?
No, a bicycle at first. And I think even at that moment, I was never expecting to be able to get back on a motorcycle again.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, I went on a cliff in 93, so I was 17. When I turned 36, so 17 years later, that's when I started I took a motorcycle training course again to get my license back. I got my motorcycle license back again. And since when I did that, I got another motorcycle. I rode my motorcycle. I've done it a couple of times minimally. Rode my motorcycle from LA here to Vegas.
Wow.
And back. So at that time, it's like, that's what I did. And that's why I keep functioning. I just keep going. I didn't have my second head injury until, as it works out, my first head injury was 4 days before I turned 19. Then it just rose. I don't know why, but 6 months after I turned 38, my first accident, okay? And a couple months after that, it was in March of 13, I had a bicycle accident. Don't know what happened, why, but I had a bicycle accident, and that one created another brain bleed.
Oh my God.
So I was in the hospital again, nowhere nearly as bad as physically detrimental as the first one, but I was in the hospital again for about only a couple of months this time.
My gosh.
I slowed down a little bit, some of that back even. What is exceptionally aggravating, however, is that I don't know how well you can notice her, especially since you didn't know me before, per se.
Right.
What I slowed down my thought processing and even my speaking abilities and speaking is slower, and or it can be jumbled, and things tend to rise and make it that much more difficult to be understood and or to talk. And I'm hopefully I'm not having too much trouble. It doesn't look like I'm having too much trouble you understanding me, but
I'm not having trouble. I didn't know you before, but I don't see a big slowdown. No.
Thank you. I worked very hard to get back, and I remember specifically there was speaking slower, for example, And I know now that even that it's not as noticeable speaking slower per se, but I know factually I think slower. I move slower.
You can feel it,
I
right?
think slower. Everything is slower. And what's really aggravating for me, especially because I keep having so many of them, each accident slows me down a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's, although I will accept argument that since I have had 9 injuries now, the fact that I'm speaking with you, period, is its own miracle. Well, it was always its own miracle before, but claim I refuse to quit.
That's a killer story. I cannot believe you. You just keep on going.
Well, I know that's actually one of my other concerns is that people aren't going to can't believe.
They're not going to believe
I've
it.
been through so much. Like I said, I've had 9 head injuries. 2 of them I broke, or 2 of them I had brain bleeds, and on my 4th
God.
injury, I actually did a flip, didn't end over on my bike, and I broke my neck when I landed on my head.
Oh
I broke my neck at C2, kind of like Christopher Reeve.
Oh my God, that's right. He broke his neck. Now, do you wear a helmet? Were you wearing a helmet for these?
Yeah, I have
I think,
and even though as I ride my bike, because I do ride my bike now.
yeah.
Although I'm considering wanting to slow down or not riding my bike as much because I'm getting tired of always getting injured. Would like to quit, kind of. I mean, I'm still riding my bike because in the end, I've got to get around. I've got to do things. I got to take care of myself. I got to get to the store or pay bills or do different things. And since
Gotta stay healthy, yeah.
Oh, thank God that I'm an American and I get Social Security and all like I do. But the government's supporting me. I'm not happy about that. Okay, but
No, but that's what it's.
Me, so
But Bill, that's what it's for. When you have difficulties, when you need help, that's what it's for, and you shouldn't feel bad about that at all. But I'm amazed. I think you're alive because you wore your helmet and because you believe in God. I think that's why you're alive. You know?
Well, I definitely won't knock that. I'm happy by it, or by doing this talk with you, for example. This can expand my horizons and our abilities. My goal would be to start up what you can do, present. But that's why I got started with the Friday thing. The Friday thing was because I needed to learn about these issues and how I can get my name out there or my podcasting out there or what I should do next. And I was hoping that maybe I can learn some things by watching or talking to you and seeing what you do, how you do it, and maybe even ask for advice once in a while or pointers or something. But I will consider that side now. I'm interested in meeting people, meeting like yourself, and just because I need to learn the world, how the rest of the world thinks and works and does things too. So I'll consider that a big part of the picture.
I think the more you talk to people, the more inspired they will be. You just never know who's going to hear your story and feel like if he could do it, I can do it. And that is such a powerful thing. That's a big reason why I do this podcast is I feel like people tell their stories. They share how they got through something and what they learned. And we never know who's out there listening. I know that it helps people. It inspires people. I mean, you've been through so much. Somebody who's been through just a little bit of it would say, oh my gosh, he had it so much worse. I got to keep going. If he could do it, I can do it. That's just super powerful. And when you reach out like that is when you really help people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm trying to do. And like I said, I'm hoping to expand my horizons and abilities.
But could you remind me what the title of your book is? I'm really intrigued that you.
It says 19 years. Like I said, I wrote this just before my second head injury, so I'm living that out.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! 19 years, and there's a picture of you on the front. It's a very nice cover.
A picture of me, and actually that motorcycle with that I've got there that was my 3rd motorcycle. That's the bike that I rode out to Vegas a couple of times. Of course, my name's on the front, Bill Copple. Yeah, that's who I am.
What I usually do is I put people's contact information and I'll put your book title in the show notes, the little bit of text that's on the episode. And people would probably like to know how to get in touch with you.
Well, for that, the email that I gave you, that's the best.
That's
the
okay.
one I'm going to try and use basically for
Okay.
encouraging and or expanding my horizons and abilities or webcasting or whatever. I'm not certain the best way to do it or whatever, but that 19 years, that's why that was my point of 19 years at Gmail, and tried to come up with a title, since the actual 9 years like that is copyrighted by somebody else already, so I couldn't make that my email. That's why I spelled it out and made 19 years the way I did in my email.
All right, I'll make sure I put that in the show notes so people can reach out to you.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
What are your plans for the future? Is there another book coming?
I wouldn't mind writing another book, but I have no desire to write a book. I didn't want to write this first one.
It's hard to write a book. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Well, it's hard to read a book. It's hard to write a book.
It's really hard to write a book. Yeah.
So I'm not excited about that prospect. And my first book, I don't know how, why, but I was able to come up with an outline, what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it, basically. So I kept a picture of that outline in my head, on a piece of paper in my head, and I wrote my book.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I've got so many accidents and issues, whatever, to talk about. I can't come up with an outline essentially to write another book. And I wouldn't mind talking with somebody or working with somebody, or I'm not going to write another book. When I was younger, I remember being younger, I hated it. I detested reading and writing it too, but I detested reading. Now I read some from a book every night before I go to bed. Just among other things, it's good to read to expand your writing and knowledge, but also reading the book is a great way for me to get sleepy. So I'll read a book for half an hour to an hour and be able to stack out a bit better.
That's what my husband does. It makes him fall asleep every night.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you felt like it, you could do that. People work with ghost writers, and I remember hearing that there's like 3 different ways you could go. Like if they write a lot of it, the book is called Inspired by Bill's story. Yeah. But if you give a lot of subject matter and they just help you, then it's as told by, right?
Right.
So there's different.
And I'm not, especially since I will take. I'm proud of the fact that I put the energy and effort into writing this book. Okay,
that's not a small thing.
Let anybody take that away from me. Whether I'm not a good author, maybe, but I'm an author, and that alone says a decent bit, I think.
Not everybody can write a book, Bill. That's really kind of amazing.
If you consider, like I said, this is after my first accident. I've had only 8 more, minimally 8 more accidents now. So I really, I didn't like it the first time. I'm not going to write a book now,
That's a lot of accidents. So where are you today? Like, are you feeling well? Do you take care of yourself?
Well, yes and no, I guess. Well, yes, I am. I mean, I live on my own in my own apartment. Because the government told me out, but I got enough money for rent and for food, and I got enough friends and people around me who are willing to able to help me out, give me rides. I got one of my neighbors will help me get to the store sometimes when I need to, or I got another neighbor who helps me out a better bit, taking me to church or doing different things, getting around. Like yesterday, he helped me get out because I had to go to the bank and do a couple of things of shopping, go by a couple of stores. And he helped me to do that. So fortunately, I don't repel people. I'm nice enough that people get along with me. So I'm getting able to and do get help. I am working hard to take care of myself. This is what it is.
Yes. So what do you feel that you learned from all of this? Like, what do you want to tell people? What's the number one thing you want to tell people?
That I want to say is that working out will save your life. Okay.
Working out will save your life.
I started going to the gym when I was about 14 or about 15 because I wanted to get bigger and stronger to play football, high school football. I was never really very good at football, and I wasn't big for football, even though I was a lineman. I was a 150-pound lineman, which is soaking wet, so that's kind of small. Still is on the smaller side, but 150-pound lineman is not beneficial per se. I was only 150 pounds, but I was going to the gym, working out, trying to increase my muscle mass and make myself bigger and stronger and better. Because I did that, can be argued, I kept myself in decent shape. It took quite some time, but it was about a year after my first accident. I started walking to the gym again.
Wow.
And working out. At that moment, particularly, I didn't expect to ever be riding a bicycle again. At that moment, especially, I never expected to be riding a bicycle again. As it turns out, it was within about 10 years, I was actually riding a bicycle again.
It's amazing.
15 years, I think. Sorry, my excuses, all my head injuries, my memory is not as good as it used to be, but
that's okay.
Bottom line is, I started riding a bicycle again. I started keeping myself physically active. I started going to the gym again. When I first started going to the gym, I'd walk or take the bus to the gym and work out. And then I'd walk or take the bus home.
Wow.
Just because I knew I was confident in the importance of and benefits of working out. And like I said, since I've had as many accidents as I have, I still walk around. Now, I haven't ran in over almost 30 years now because my first accident took that availability away from me. And I wasn't a good runner per se even before, but now I can't run. That's, who cares? I get around. The fact that I can walk, period, I consider it so miraculous and amazing and beneficial to me that I ain't complaining,
I just love that you look on the bright side. You keep taking care of yourself. I think that's such a great message for people. Like, I don't think we have to have an accident to work out more and feel better. It's such a good message.
That's what I'm actually, my grand scheme, that's the message I want to get out, is that working out and being is beneficial to you. And I mean, help people understand really. For example, frequently, not necessarily every day, but most days, I'll take it, and it's a quarter mile, which for me means something anyways, because I have trouble walking. But I walk barefoot on grass outside my apartment building, up the neighborhood, walking on grass. I walk on grass because theoretically, at least, that's beneficial on numerous fronts. Helps keep your body more in tune with nature, and the fact that I'm not walking not going to a football field or something with a lot of grass are an arguable point that, well, maybe I'm not getting as much benefit as I should. I'm looking at more the fact that I can and do walk, period.
Right.
That's the benefit. I mean, I remember being in the wheelchair for, like I said, my first accident, I was in the wheelchair for a year. I don't want to go back to wheelchair.
Yeah.
So I keep myself functioning, walking, doing what I can.
But you have that discipline. That's what I'm admiring so much about you, because some people would go through even less than what's happened to you and kind of give up a little bit and not move and sort of give in. But you don't.
Well, I don't give in. I hate, between you and me, I'm sorry, I hate life because it is so difficult. I mean, and I've accomplished a lot. For example, before my first accident, I played football in high school. When I was in I remember being in second grade playing chess, being decent at least at chess, or being in high school playing football, riding my motorcycle, and then walking again, and then riding a bicycle again, and then doing all these things. By now, actually, I've gone to Hawaii numerous times before and after my accident, and now even after my accident. My first accident, but I got certified to go scuba diving. I scuba and gone diving with sharks.
No way.
Yeah. Now the sharks that I saw were only nurse sharks. So I've been within 20 feet of a nurse shark.
Now, when did you do this?
That was when I first got certified to go scuba diving. It worked out that our group of graduates from that class, we got together and we went down to Cozumel. And we did 10 dives down in Cozumel for a week.
Wow.
Been on went on deep sea dives, general dives. We went on night dives. We even went on a cave dive. So I got the experience. But I've gone actually basically specifically parachuting once.
Wow.
And I've done, like I said, I've scuba over sharks. Right now, I ride a bike. When I was working for Disneyland, involved with muscular dystrophy, or no, MS, and we went on bike rides. 2 of the years I did this, I went the 150-mile bike ride. 2 or 3, actually 3 years, I went on the 100-mile bike ride.
Wow.
So brings up back to my point. Working out, keeping physically fit will do amazing things for you.
Well, you're certainly an example. You're a shining example of that. I mean, I can't even imagine where you'd be if you didn't keep working out and exercising.
Yeah.
You know, you could imagine that you would be back in a wheelchair.
No, I can't. I can't imagine. That's why I'm walking.
But you're very motivated.
Yeah, I understand.
You stay very motivated. Now, how do you stay so upbeat? Because you seem very upbeat to me.
Well, that's a very, 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 very good question, because, like I said, I don't like life exactly.
Oh.
But I accept that it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I've got to make as much of it as I can.
You're a realist.
I don't like the idea of having to be in a hospital. And, like, for example, when I woke up from my coma, it was essentially a retirement living facility. They did have a couple of people that had been through accidents and things like that, but most of the people who were in there, they were there for the rest of them. They were towards the end of their life anyways, but like 50 plus or 60 plus, whatever. And I do not want to go back to that. Yes. So I worked my tail off, keep going. And then, like I said, my 4th injury, I don't know how wide it happened, but I broke my neck. So I don't know how I recovered or did what I did. All I know is that in the end, physically working out, keep myself at least decent shape. I'm still here, going pretty well. You know,
I'm so impressed with you. I think you could teach people so much about having the right attitude, being realistic, staying motivated. You know, it's all there.
I consider myself very realistic, and I am motivated.
Yeah.
Because I detest the idea of having to rely on somebody else. I mean, I can't get around very well right now. I need a lot of help going shopping or doing different things, maybe. But in the end, I live on my own in my own apartment. I'm getting enough government assistance that I can pay the rent, and
that's amazing. Yeah, that's something
that I've got. So I'm not overly concerned. Cognizantly able enough. I've got, for example, money in savings. I've got money in stock. No Warren Buffett, but I have a general basic idea to what I'm doing that I can keep at least the bare minimum, or
that's good.
Keep myself out of hospital and away from some of those other things.
Now, I'm wondering if do you still have your parents with you? Are they still alive?
They're still alive. My dad they are divorced. And my dad has currently, with his 3rd wife, he's living in Florida right now. And my mother was living in Southern California until just a couple of years ago, but because she's getting older, working situation being the way it is, the money she's able to get, whatnot, fell through essentially, and so she had to move back home essentially to Arizona, to Tucson, Arizona. I visited her there numerous times, whatever, from before. I haven't visited her out there since she moved out there. Not that I don't want to, that for me to get around and have the money to do that is, so I haven't done it. She's invited me, and as of the moment, I'm planning on going. She's invited me out there to Tucson, Arizona for December of this year.
So nice. Yeah, I was just wondering what that was like for them. You know, I'm a mom, and I can't imagine my 19-year-old being in a coma, and must have been so hard for them.
Yeah, well, it was. And since I'm not a parent, at least previously didn't want to be a parent, but I don't have any clue that I'm doing so well and things like that. I'm not necessarily exactly thankful that I'm alive, but I am exceptionally thankful that I'm doing as well as I'm doing. I would look at it right now. I said I'll be 50 in just over a year. Okay.
Wow.
I'm going to turn 50.
You don't look like you're going to turn 50.
Oh, thank you.
Must be all that working out.
That's what, as far as I go, yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
I'm almost 50 physically, and with all, I will argue that with all the head injuries I've had, on the one hand, I'm 100, because of all that I've had to go through on the one hand.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I also consider myself a baby because I have to keep, it's just each head injury, or at the beginning at least, the first couple of head injuries, they took so many years away from me again, and my physical ability and actionality, that I was essentially a baby again. For example, if somebody asked me now, were to come up to me and ask how old I am, my immediate answer is, I don't know.
Yeah. It would make sense, right?
Physically, I'm almost 50, yes, technically. But with all that I've been through, not only did I make it to the first accident, I came back to a great extent. And I mean, I've only done it more times. So I don't know where to consider myself that way.
Yeah. So do you have any siblings, any brothers or sisters?
I have a younger brother. And right now he's trying to live his life and do his thing. I believe he's somewhere in Asia right now.
Wow.
For various reasons, we're not necessarily close. His mom is trying and doing a decent enough job, I guess, of staying in communication with him. But he's written off my dad, definitely. And he's not overly enthused about staying in contact with me. And the way I look at it, like, apparently it is what it is. And so.
Yeah. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on my podcast and sharing everything you shared. I am so excited to see what you're going to do next. I'm very inspired by your story. I know my listeners will be. And okay. Is there anything else that we didn't say? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
The nickname that I would try to take, I call myself Sharky because I've got a couple of tattoos of sharks, and I got a couple of tattoos of sharks because the first one I got before I graduated high school is because I consider myself a mental survivor. Sharks are survivalists. Okay, they've lived for hundreds of years, and they've been around for eons, and then some. So they know how to survive.
Yeah,
that's why I call myself a survivor. I got my first tat just before my first accident. I got my second tat probably 5 years before my second accident. But since I already gone to it once, I knew I wanted to do sharks again because sharks are survivors. Yeah, I call myself a survivor or Sharky. So because I am.
I think that's really cool to connect like that with an animal. I also like, by the way, that you walk on grass because I'm a big believer in connecting with nature that keeps us in balance. I think that's so good for you. Right. And it, some people believe that it grounds you, spiritually, it grounds you.
The studies have been done, which is where I started. I used to be more involved in a head injury group. We meet weekly. Yeah. Okay. And one of our weeks were meeting, and studies have been done to demonstrate the benefits of working out or walking, and the benefits to your health. It keeps you more in tune with nature, and nature more in tune with you. Could care less about living longer, but I am very big proponent of living beneficial or doing as much as I can on my own.
In a very real way, you've added quality to your days. Your life has more quality, better quality because you exercise, you keep going. And I'm embarrassed to say I don't walk as much as I should. And now you're making me want to walk. Like after we get off, I'm going to go walk.
Well, that's good. I have trouble walking because from all my head injuries. For example, because I was a lineman in high school football, my knees are not as good as they used to be. Because I've broken my ankles a couple of times. There's questions there. But in the end, it's better if I use my cane when I do it, but I walk, and it's only a quarter mile, half mile. But I do the walks. And just walking, period, is beneficial. I know enough, or believe enough about the physicality of life that just those simple walks, even if they're only quarter miles, that's better than nothing.
Absolutely right.
I mean, grand scheme, if you lived in high school, something for whatever, you walked up and down just up one way up a football field. You did that daily. That would do amazing things because I was a personal trainer for a while also, but so I know the different aspects of things. Keeping yourself going like that you're burning more energy, you're burning more calories so that you can eat more or whatever. I mean,
Right.
for example, I'm not thin, but I'm not a blimp either. I eat a lot, but yet I work. I keep myself physically going. I walk, and I used to go to the gym. Actually, I'd really like to start going back to the gym again. And with my bicycle back, I might. And since they're starting to open up from Corona, they've been opening back up from coronavirus issues for a while now. I'm thinking about going back again, but right now specifically, I'm having more difficulties keeping my body and mind in proper function. It's a lot more easier for me to be tired and or to be confused and or to be just busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had so many. I'll blame it on the head injury, and that's a good place to play or where the blame goes. But I haven't figured out the sanest and or safest way to do it anyway. But just that's who I am. That's what I'll do.
Yeah. Well, I just can't thank you enough. I'm very excited about people hearing your story, and I'm going to put your email and the name of your book in my show notes. Is there a place they can order your book? Do you have a special website?
What is AmazonBooks.com?
So if we look for it on Amazon, we'll find it? That's great.
It is on Amazon.
That's great.
19 years.
All right. Well, thank you. I hope we get to talk again.
Thank you very much. Yes. And we at least we can Gmail or how that would too.
Definitely.
All right?
Definitely. You take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.